Hi, everyone. It's Mr. Black Screen. Oh, Joe. With Joe, it isn't. Who had a black screen while you guys were waiting? Good morning, Brock. Cheryl, TGIF. Thank God I found ForexAnalytix. Hello, Shahab. Hope everyone had a decent week. We've laid it all out on the floor to help you guys out this week. You had one? Okay. So that's weird. Some people do, Steve, and some people don't. Hello, Tomas. I think Zoom needs to have a window that shows the screen of, you know, whoever is sharing a screen so they know what they see. Stavros had a
I
black
think you can do that, Coach. Good
Really?
morning.
Good morning,
I think,
buddy.
yeah. I remind me to check it when I take the screen because, in order for me to tell you where you'll find it, I need to have the screen.
Okay, because, yeah, remote control maybe? I don't know.
I'll check it out and let you know.
Oh, okay. All right, anyway, when you think about it, kind of a non-eventful week in many ways. I mean, here's your weekly in euro. Pretty tight range, lower on the week, but above the 2-week off numbers. Well, we're not closed yet, 110.27. So just barely above the close from 2 weeks ago. I think you have to wait for more evidence. My bias is to be honest and say I don't know. I could see this happening. I could see this holding and breaking out. This will be your first sign back over 110.70, and then you contend with this 200 MA on the 4-hour. A couple of things I do think that might be setting up that you have the first signs of a reversal in the end with this glaring divergence. And when you look at the weekly, at least the yen is, somewhat of a reversal week. It's made new recovery highs. It's closing lower on the week. So we'll see next week. A lot's going to have to do with what happens here on a weekly basis. The S&Ps have done nothing wrong, but there could be a setup because of what happened. Everyone see the week before this candle, okay? And now you see this candle. So we have an inside week. So sometimes when you have inside weeks, you have the potential for an outside week the following week. See if I could find an example of it here. I don't see any offhand on this chart, but the most bearish thing the market could do is take out this week's highs. Normally it would happen early in the week, and then take out this week's lows, which, I think is critical. I'm calling this 78.6 level, the line of death. This can be your first indication that there's a problem in the S&Ps. I've been talking about it all week, back under 29.75, because that would measure back to the breakout, okay? This breakout line right here, and back under this breakout, I think the correction's underway. Doesn't mean that we can't blow one more time. And when you talk about the index as something that would be really clean and classic, looks a little more that way in NASDAQ 100. So here's your weekly, and you have a 1, and you have a 2. And if we get up towards, what is this, say, 8150, which is 200 NASDAQ points above, definitely on the weekly, you're not going to confirm. On the daily, I don't think you'll confirm. Maybe it gets back up to 70 on the 200 point rally. But, take a picture. That's textbook. And, if Greg was here, maybe he would say this is going to be, I could even ask Steve. Steve, if we went up here and failed, would this be an ending diagonal in Elliott wave terms? Okay, Steve doesn't
Sorry,
want to.
Coach.
Oh, I'm asking
Sorry,
you.
I was taking care of some other stuff.
I was wondering, I have a potential 3 drive in NASDAQ. Well, I don't have it. The market has it if we went up here one more time in Elliott terms, could this end up being an ending diagonal?
Depends on what precedes it, but in general, yeah, as you know, this is a formation that is definitely an ascending wedge.
Okay.
You know, a likely ascending wedge.
Okay.
Okay.
And so,
We first need to see another ejection, and then yes.
okay. All right. So that was a good guess. Kind of weird action in crude, but still an up week and still holding above 57. I think as long as you're above this old breakout line here, let me pull it out here. I don't, maybe could we go up here, but not enough touches. I'll leave it here. Okay, so as long as you're above, now it looks like 56, but Steve talked about it yesterday. You know, I think it's 57. As long as we stay above 57, you have to still give this candle the benefit of the doubt. So we'll see what happens with crude. This would really be one of the best fake outs in a long time if after this ends up just being an ABC or something, and then we fail. So that'll be something important to watch. Metals had an up week, but you know there is some selling pressure coming along here. It's actually, this is a second 2-week sell in a row. Last week we closed under the off number, and this week we closed under the off number, which was 1507, and looks like, yeah, see how these off numbers can work. So 1507 was the off number, and on the bounce we couldn't close above it. The high was 11. So I mean, this doesn't look good to me. It's sideways, and we could still get a C here, but back under this black line, this is the significance in gold. On the black line, it was a throwover line. Okay, and look at how it's respecting it, and look at how it comes into the 50-day moving average now as well. So you have some confluence right here at this 480 level. So back under 1480, 85, there's a lot of space, at least back to the previous highs, 1450, and maybe even deeper than that. So you do some type of measured move from here, and I think you have to be short under 85 or wait for a rally. Right now it's just, you know, no man's land. So any questions for me before I turn it over to Blaker? No interview today, just a black screen. Anything? Okay. Here's the question. I hope you guys are signing up. At the minimum, I would go with a 6-month plan, so that you give the team a chance to prove themselves, because you know everyone, even the legends, had drawdown periods. So it's hard to make a judgment in 30 days, in my opinion, and not just for a subscription, for anything. Okay, even a boyfriend or girlfriend. You don't make a decision in 30 days. When it comes to that, I think you have to go through every season, maybe a few years, and that's still,
Having to do with boyfriends and girlfriends, I would disagree with you.
Really?
Not
A
as
month
a
is
general,
long enough, huh?
not as a general rule, but what I'm trying to say is that, you know, once you're experienced enough to know that some things you don't tolerate, I don't think you need to wait more if you see some signs, you know, that it's
okay.
not for you in that sense, right?
Yeah. All right. Gosh, I wish I would have talked to you a decade ago. Anyway, so anyway, Steve, thank you very much. I learn from you every day, and not just about the markets. And you know, one thing I have to say here is, you know, you get a lot of good content and ideas in here, but let me ask you guys this. Do you have fun in here? I mean, isn't it important to also have fun? I have a great time doing this every day. I'm just wondering if you guys do too. You know, so, you know, it's great to get trades, but it could also be, you know, kind of dry and boring. And I just can't be boring. I could be a pain in the butt, but boring, I just can't do it. Hi, Blake. What's the market look like today?
Have you ever seen The Sloth? And there's a kids movie.
No, but I can
Oh,
relate to the animal.
oh my God, it is actually the funniest. I as a parent, and I'm pretty much past kids movies.
Yeah.
But a few years ago there was I can't someone could I'm sorry, my nose is going to I'm
Explode
about
on
ready to
us.
sneeze.
All right, all right.
Allergy
Allergies.
season. Yeah, it's starting to come.
Oh, I was
But
wondering why I was so sinusy.
but there was a kids movie. Somebody would probably chime in on what it is, and there's this sloth, and I mean I've never laughed so hard in my life. It is probably the funniest part of any kids show I've ever seen, kids movie, and somebody, like I said, somebody might actually join it. Anyway, it's what you sounded like. Well, happy Friday, everybody. It's very slow. It's quadruple witching Friday. God, I just wanted to make sure I got that out correctly.
Flying around on the broom, that witch, isn't she?
Yeah. So, you can see the Euro's real, it's just sloppy. I mean, I'm like, I get excited if the Euro, breaks out above this, 110.80. I think we can slump to 110 because we have some options that are expiring there today. The cable's given back some of these gains. I was looking for a move. Sorry, guys, my allergies. I was looking for a move down here today. And earlier this morning when we were sitting around here and around these lows, I said I'm expecting a move down. I was waiting for it to retest this trend line basically. And I knew that that it could get a little further. I put in a bid at 80 and I got hit, and took it for a bounce for like 10 pips. Nothing exciting, but the pounds come under pressure as the Juncker's comments yesterday were, they're I think it was one of the Irish
Drunks.
I don't know if it was prime minister. No, one of the politicians there said something. Stelios, if he's even here, I don't even know if Stelios is here today. Anyway, kind of contradicted Juncker, and then the pound kind of came off, and it's been selling off, and now we're bouncing, and it's really really messy markets, and expect a lot of choppiness, especially.
When's it going to change, Blake? Do you have any idea? Maybe this is the new normal.
I hate the new normal. As far, I was actually looking at some longer term charts. Let me show you this really quick. Let me go to the euro dollar. Actually, let's do
monthly.
This. No, well, yes and no.
Okay.
Let me pull up this chart. I was looking at this chart, and let's go over to a. Well, that's a monthly, but let's go over to the weekly. This is the weekly euro. I mean, you think about what the euro's done, and let's get rid of like these little lines here, because we know that 112 level or 111 level is big. This is us in a nutshell. We have a descending wedge and a really big multi-decade support. And that's
a great view.
Well, I mean, this could take us down to, obviously, if we continue to grind lower, which I sure as hell hope we don't, because I don't know if I could deal with another 12 months of us just grinding down. But you can see the apex to this wedge, this longer term wedge.
It can't, Blake. It runs out of time in the compression. But
yeah. So I mean, we're talking maybe into the end of this year.
The election
going in. Well, no, that would take us way over here. This goes into March, but sometime into this fall, I assume we're going to make a big break, and you've got to be around for it, right? That's the key, is just making sure that you've got the firepower to to be around when it does finally make its break.
I heard someone say, to be there for the good times, you have to be there all the time.
That's right. That's a great saying. And it's, so when you're around there all the time, or you're around all the time, like myself and the rest of you guys are, you have to trade carefully and trade lightly, and be careful, when, in these times of choppiness. And, I mean, like for me, I'm still playing this as buy the euro dip as it comes. But, when you're in the middle of the wedge, it's hard to be a buyer right at this moment. I look at it and go, well, do I really want to buy it here? If I really want to buy it here, or would I rather be a buyer down at 109.20 again? If we get another move down there, which we could very well do. I mean, we may have a double bottom here, but we could actually end up having a triple bottom by the time it's all said and done. So you can't rule out the idea that the euro can't go down to 109 again, or 109.20. Excuse me. It's entirely possible. Now, going back to like the rest of, everything else, the pound's just kind of quiet. The pound stopped at the 50% retracement. If you guys didn't catch that yesterday, we had the 50% retracement of this, the last major down move that came in right at the highs, and we surpassed that just briefly overnight. Kind of squeezed out a few shorts, last night, and then, we dropped. The pound is still, in my opinion, as long as we hold above this pink line, I guess I could draw it a little. Let me go over to a daily, or 4 hours, probably better. Yeah, here's a 4 hour. So let me make this maybe a little different color. Pink is not my color. How about black? But let's make it dashed, and let's make it a little thicker. Okay. So while we're above that, I think you want to look to the long side. Now, does that mean you buy it right now? No, probably not. Letting it backfill a little bit, maybe drop back below 124.50, somewhere like that, might give you a better opportunity for longs. But I still think it's constructive. We just completed this. Oh, coach, you're a 3-drive guy, right? He's not even here anymore. So I mean, think about this. One.
He took one
2.
drive already.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So you might 3-drive and a reversal, and so now we're resetting. And how far do we reset? Who knows? But it we had the divergent relative strength, and everything else. So like I said, I think pullbacks, this might even be it. I mean, for all I know, but the pullback is currently in process. Now we have other things that are happening too. If you take a look at the Kiwi, man, this Kiwi is weak. We are at trend lows. I'm actually looking for it to push one more low down here, but relative strength is divergent. Doesn't mean it's going to. We could stop here and actually start to get a foothold. That's entirely possible with the New Zealand, and then maybe try to forge some sort of double bottom. But again, this is quadruple witching, so I don't know if I'm willing to stand in front of the Kiwi right now and start buying it, knowing that we could have a lot of volatility coming through the markets here over the next few hours. So I don't know if I really want to deal with that at this point. One of the other things that I was looking at, and then I'll take some comments from Steve here in a second. The dollar Mexican peso, I've been building a long position in the dollar Mexican peso. Now I was drawing, and let me draw it here. Here's the slow right here, or you can do it from here. It doesn't really matter. You can do it the actual trend low, right? I've been, arguing that we're consolidating around the 618 retracement. Yesterday, Paul Franco, if you don't listen to Paulie and his webinars, in his webinar, he was talking about, you know, the US dollar Mexican peso being at the 618 retracement. And I was like, 618 retracement. And then I started to look like what he was looking at, and he's looking at, if you just, let me grab the drawing tool really fast. Where is the, oh, here it is. Let me grab, annotate. Okay. So if you take the big move, you know, and he's drawing it from the lows right here to the highs. And we are at the 618. Matter of fact, we held it to a T. So some food for thought there, as you know, we are really holding that. We are really holding that 618 retracement, and I think it's possible that, you know, we start reversing here. Because now I'm looking at this, like this minor. Let me move this over here. Minor downtrend line that's getting taken out, and you know, the risk is that that we start, you know, like making higher highs, and I want to see a move back above 1950. So anyway, I think the dollar Mexican peso looks a little bit more constructive at this point, but you know, for all intents and purposes, it looks like we're trying to base here. Relative strength is divergent. So now once we start making higher highs and, you know, higher lows, then, you know, I'll be a little bit more convinced. And we're actually starting that right now. You can see there's a higher high here, higher low. I'd like to see us take out, you know, 1950, 1955, and then, you know, do a little bit of backfilling. But I think we're trying to build a base here in the dollar Mexican peso, which, you know, if you guys are, you know, bearish risk and you think that, you know, stocks might go down, this would be, you know, fitting into that analysis moving forward, because as the dollar Mexican peso bases, it tends to move up with risk aversion. So if you think stocks are maybe toppy here, or they might hit one more new high, the dollar Mexican peso might be more favorable to the long side longer term. It is tough to hold a position long. I pay a lot of interest trying to hold this thing long. Fortunately, my position's not too big right now, but you know, as it builds, it's getting more expensive. I need it to really start moving higher soon. But anyway, that's what I'm thinking with the dollar Mexican peso.
Some risk aversion would definitely help.
Yeah, definitely, it would.
I have a question, Blake, if you don't
Yes.
mind. The other day you brought up there were some guys in the room looking at a potential peak in Aussie Kiwi. I noticed we made a new marginal high and we're coming off a little bit. I'm wondering what your thoughts are now.
On the what?
Aussie Kiwi. Remember
you know,
talking about that earlier?
Yeah, you know, it just breached new highs, and we're kind of stalled here. This is the same trend line resistance. I didn't short it yesterday, and I didn't short it today, but you know, hey, if you wanted to take a pop shot at it, just keep tight stops. You know, it's like, okay, if you want to risk 20 pips, that
diverging pretty good, and that's a second drive anyway. So you know, maybe it's something there.
Right. Well, hey guys, I got to pass it over to Steve, but I want to thank everybody for being here, and make sure you take advantage of the seasonal offer. Steve, it's all yours.
Thank you, Blake.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good weekend,
have a great
Blake.
Trading day. Bye-bye, mate.
And a good weekend, because it's cooling off in Arizona.
Yeah, which for
it's only going to be 98 there today, but it's better than 110.
Crazy living.
How hot does it get in Athens in the summer when you have in Fahrenheit? I don't understand Celsius. During the summer, Steve. 90?
I'll tell you. It can go up to 104.
Oh, wow.
But keep in mind, that's considered to be like, you know, we get like just, I don't know, like 5, maximum like 10 days per year of that kind of weather.
Okay. They have air conditioning in Athens? Of course. Oh, good.
So, you know, it can be very hot, but for very, very, very few days. So usual summer temperature doesn't exceed like 95. So even during
like August.
noon, you won't see more than that. And
It always
and
cools
that's,
off at night because of the sea, or what?
yes, of course, it will go down at night.
Okay.
So we have a few quite hot days, there's no question about it. But usually I would say it's like around 32 degrees Celsius. Mediterranean weather in general, and that doesn't apply only to Greece, of course, like Italy, Portugal, Spain,
Yeah.
is the Mediterranean climate in general is very good.
Okay. It's like
We also have
California. Sounds like California, kind of.
we also have soft winters.
Okay.
For example, we see snow in Athens like once every 5 years, something like that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice. You have a chart? You have a chart on that?
You should come and experience it yourself.
Okay. I'm really serious about doing it.
Then do it.
All right. Yeah, I'm all talk. Yeah. Okay. So, Steve, I do have a question that I got on Twitter. Sean on Twitter, who probably attends FACE, wants to know about if there's a 3-drive developing in palladium.
You know something, and that affects everybody.
I know you trade it. I know. So.
Yeah, in general, I do trade it. Yeah, but you know something. The 2 last things I've attempted this month, because I was prudent to be mostly out in August, and I've had a very, very good year until like June, July. But 2 out of 3 things I've been attempting since I'm back from vacation don't work, and the reason is we have this horrible, horrible trading environment. You have so many false starts, so many breaks. For example, that false break here in crude got me out of my long position. So I never got to benefit from this due to that. I got a pattern in play triggering yesterday, the day before, when USD NOK was falsely breaking lower from this head and shoulders formation, and it's snapped back. So that is the reason I'll tell you about palladium. That is the reason. I mean, this environment, because keep in mind, when we have nice volatility and nice volume, you can trust very much technical formations because the market produces follow through most of the times. But under these conditions, although I can easily tell you that palladium looks very nice here because we have a cup and handle formation, which is a textbook continuation formation. We broke above it, we came down, we retested the neckline, and we're moving to new highs. So this looks like a very, I talked about it yesterday again, and earlier in the week. So this looks like a very, very nice long, but I'm not going to be surprised under this current environment if I see palladium like reverse on Monday and then, prove that this was just, Why?
Can I just say one thing to Sean? If he's looking at this on the daily as a 3-drive, the high that you had in March, it looks like March, and then the high you had in July was not a higher high.
Exactly.
So if you're considering that being a 2nd drive, it doesn't qualify.
I totally agree. It's definitely not a 3-drive. That doesn't mean that it can't move lower, but it's definitely not a 3-drive.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you, buddy.
So, under normal circumstances, this is a very bullish setup that we have here. And, this setup actually targets 1930s, somewhere there. So it targets much, much higher levels. So I have to tell you that as long as we remain above, like, let's call it 1580, there is absolutely no reason to be bearish palladium. Quite the opposite. I was bearish palladium earlier thankfully, we didn't get a false breakdown there, because that would have caught me if it was a false breakdown earlier. I mean, I was expecting that this might have been a flag at the very beginning. So I was looking for an opportunity to be short for one more leg to the downside. I thought that we might end up retesting 1268, and I was looking forward to that opportunity. Thankfully, that didn't produce a false breakdown. And, you know, after some point, when this was too long to be, you know, a bear flag, I just, you know, stopped looking to be short there. I was then contemplating that, okay, we might have a larger triangle. So I was looking for a possible rejection somewhere that like 1580 to 1600 to be short then. But once we breached through it, and I was saying yesterday that, you know, yesterday we actually were at the lows of the day when we had the webinar. I was saying that, look at this. I mean, we've had so many days that we've been moving lower, but the way we move lower looks like it's just correcting. So I would expect more upside to come here. And, you know, so far we've had a nice rally that has lasted, you know, a little bit more than 24 hours. And, you know, sky's the limit. I mean, keep in mind, this is all-time highs for the metal. Okay, this is all-time highs. So, you know, you can't fade all-time highs just because you're hoping that it's going to reverse. As I told you, we have a technical formation in hand here. It targets $300 higher. And if the question is, come on, can palladium really rally $300 higher? The answer is
Yes.
Palladium in January 2016 was trading at 450. Just think about that.
Yeah.
Just think about that. I mean, we've had a massive
Could have,
3.5 years. Yeah.
should have.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a massive 3.5-year-old rally. You know, Dale, I might have said this story before. We bought the breakout in palladium here for the fund I was working for. This, you see this formation, this big triangle here.
Yeah.
So we were waiting for a breakout here. I was waiting actually for it because, you know, it was my trade. I mean, I was, you know, very, very closely monitoring it. So we bought it once it broke out from 760. And I think we closed it like at 800. And I was like ecstatic, like, oh yeah, we got like, you know, a very nice move.
Yeah.
And then
I know.
it just went all the way to 900.
Yeah.
But, you know, it then retraced back. Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm there for the tough money. And then the windfalls.
It was still a good trade, no question about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we made like what 5% or whatever.
Maybe
Not
that's
bad.
where you learn to go with partial profits after that experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because that was a while ago. So now you would have taken a piece instead of getting
one
flat.
of the problems I had trading for that fund is that it was very hard going for partial profit and partial positions.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you wanted to go very big. Because just to give you an idea, the banks we were talking with and doing transactions with, they wouldn't pick up the phone for less than $500,000.
Yeah.
I mean, very rarely in FX, they would do us a favor of a $250,000.
Do you a favor and gouge you on the spread.
Yeah. For
what a
$250,000. Yeah.
Hey, I have a question of a question that, and then I'm going to let you cover the board for everyone, that Ingmar in chat says he's opening a trader's hospice. Now, in Europe, I don't know what the meaning of it is, but here in the US, when we hear hospice, that's where terminal patients go. So, Ingmar, are you opening a place for traders to go and spend their last days? In Steve, probably, where's Costa Blanca? Steve, do you know where that is?
I'm assuming Casablanca.
Costa Blanca.
Costa Blanca. Let's see. I'm not aware.
Spain. Okay, Spain.
Let's have a look at it. I mean, the markets are slow, so we can even check it out.
But is that what you mean, a hospice? Like, you know, cancer patients or last 90 days or
It,
60
it
days
looks,
go there?
it looks a lot like Greek sea. I mean, the sea here.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is a place. No,
Is
you
that
learn
what
something
hospice is that what hospice means in Europe, or does it mean like hotel or what? What's hospice mean?
That's the definition I know, the one you said,
Okay.
Dale, by the way, personal. But that doesn't mean that that's the only definition, right?
Yeah. Well, are you explaining that, Ingmar? Anyway. Oh, they'd like to see it more as a hotel, but yeah, okay. Anyway, so I guess that's where we're trading. I've never been to a retirement dinner for a trader. So I guess this is the next best thing where you go to fade away. Huh? Anyway. All right. Well, what a humanitarian you are. You're probably going to gouge them so you have more trading capital while they're going into the next realm. Anyway, go ahead,
So,
Steve. Yeah, let's talk
still
about
holding,
living and making pips.
yeah, living and making pips. Still, I think that gold looks decent for another move lower. By the way, if you haven't seen it, we had Joe yesterday on Bloomberg, and actually Joe more or less spoke about the position and the position of gold in a bear flag, which is what we're seeing at the moment. Actually, an excellent an excellent 3-minute performance from Joe. I told him it was his best one. Actually, that's the 14th. I was counting yesterday. That's the 14th time we're on Bloomberg. Not bad. Well done, Joe. Great job. So he was. I posted here. So as you see, unfortunately, the Bloomberg charts are not so clear. Because they have to work there with daily, and that's a huge screen. But he was showing, in essence, that gold is in a bear flag. On the other hand, silver is at support. I have to say that personally, I don't believe
it looks the other way around right now to me.
Yeah, I don't believe so easy that it's going to be so easy for those two to diverge. But yeah, gold overperforming, as we were saying the other day, gold overperforming, silver once again. Underperforming silver once again is very likely, because as we were showing, the gold silver ratio is at resistance. So I do believe that gold is going to fall lower from here, breaking down through that pennant that it's creating at the moment. Now, I don't think it's likely that silver is going to be rebounding at the same time, but it might be holding, better than gold does. That is definitely a possibility. So okay. I suggest, if you haven't seen it, you go to our ForexAnalytix channel on YouTube. It's just like a 3 minutes, 54-second video. So you can easily go.
Did he give the Joe stance at the end?
Are you serious? Is there any chance he wouldn't? Wait. I don't know if Velu kept it.
Oh, he better not have edited that out. That's it? Come on, his hands on his hips. Oh, yeah, he edited it out.
Yeah, he had it.
Oh, you got to fire V for that.
I will. That's
all right. Okay, because I mean that's the best part.
Indeed. Everybody's waiting for that. The stance. Okay, so gold silver ratio at resistance, as we said. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen from there. But I do think that gold looks nice for a continuation lower. Having said that, after one more leg lower, I will be actively looking to be long gold. But let's first make some money being short, and then we can discuss about making money being long. Now, Blake mentioned the Kiwi, so I have nothing to add there. The Kiwi is testing the lows, but I wanted to show the Kiwi yen because, as you see, we were talking about it like, what was it, last week or whatever. Kiwi yen got rejected for a, that's why, you know, support resistance areas do matter. Just look at this support resistance area, right? I mean, this support resistance area dates back, look at this, how many times it was resistance, dates back to 2009. Okay, and actually, if you see, you can even go further back in the chart. And as you see, it even dates, you know, further back than that. So it is very expected that you would see some kind of a reaction from that zone. And I'm saying that because, you know, it's not that I'm some kind of a magician when I drew that, you know, when we were breaking higher. I mean, it was as simple as that. You have an area, a confluence of resistances that, you know, has a very, very big chance of doing something. Now, that something can be either of the two. One, rejecting price action. Two, not rejecting price action. And having such an important area, not rejecting price action, is an important message as well, because that means that buyers have truly the upper hand in that case. Now, the former proved to be the case in this situation. We got rejected from there. So guess what? We fulfilled the minimum target of this descending wedge. What is the minimum target? Retracing back to the beginning of the wedge. We did that. And getting rejected from there, you know, leaves only one possibility, remaining bearish. Now, that doesn't mean, now that we've gone past this, let's delete it. Now, that doesn't mean that necessarily we're going to be headed to new lows here. Of course, it is a strong probability, since this is still a downtrend. Okay, we still have RSI divergence. We might just have RSI reset. So what would determine what happens from here is I'm going to be closely monitoring this RSI trend line. Now, if we see RSI bounce once again from that trend line, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. Okay, another leg higher from the pair, but especially if you see RSI breaking lower from this trend line, I would definitely then be expecting new lows, in which case I would be looking for a much longer term target, which is the 61.8 of this big move higher, which, as you see, comes at 63.25. So Kiwi yen, nice rejection we got some days ago, and you know, it might be following suit in what the Kiwi might be doing, which I agree with Blake. There is a very, very high chance that the Kiwi, by the way, look at this, the Kiwi never created a false break higher, because it also got rejected from an important support resistance area. I'm saying that because we had the Aussie actually break above the equivalent support resistance area. Okay, so the Aussie did that, but we had an obvious divergence between what the Aussie was doing and what the Kiwi was doing. So Kiwi never actually produced that kind of a false move higher, and it's now testing the lows. Now, on the other hand, if you want to talk about divergences, if we see the Kiwi, which is very, very close, posting a new low, and Aussie holding up decently, that's going to be a different divergence. So that might then indicate that the Kiwi, Kiwi producing a lower low while Aussie not following suit, might indicate that we finally see, bears give up. And then we might see a nice rebound higher, because so far, keep in mind, let's take the example of the Aussie, which has been stronger lately. The Aussie hasn't really produced any type of a rebound since January 2018. I mean, every single rebound we've seen was clearly weak and corrective. So no real decent rebound, just some areas of consolidation or, very tepid rebounds and then continuation lower. So in essence, this pair hasn't taken a breather for, what is it now? Like 20 months. So at some point, we're probably going to see some type of a decent rebound. And if we see this type of a divergence I'm talking about, I think that would be a nice indication that something like that is getting closer. Now let me see. If I can put a link, yeah, to Joe's segment, absolutely.
Someone did already, buddy. Albin. I'm telling you,
yeah,
our community is on top of it.
Yeah, they did, but it's only for panelists to see.
Oh,
so I'll put it here for panelists and attendees to see. There you go. Now you have it. Okay, let's see if you have any questions. My pleasure. Anybody wants to see anything specifically, because price action has definitely been slow. So I don't know what you want me to cover. Oh, very briefly. Cable 126, this area at 126 was resistance. Okay, so yes, we did get rejected today. We did get rejected today from this 126 area. Keep in mind though that above 123.70, looking for a move towards 127.70 makes sense. So I have to say that I wouldn't blame anybody that remains bullish the pair for a move towards 127.70. Now, if for any reason we break above 127.70, and why is that? Because at that level we find the 200 daily moving average, and this, you see it here in purple, this long-term descending wedges trendline resistance. So if for some reason the pair breaks above 127.70, I think we're going to see a massive short squeeze in the market. So, you don't want to be short if that happens. I mean, you can either stay away or be long. I'm pretty sure that, especially above 128, which is a round number, there are tons and tons of stop losses. So, that would on its own trigger a massive squeeze. Let's see what else. Nothing really has changed since yesterday with bonds. I mean, we're still recovering high, so nothing to add there. Nothing has really changed with stocks. I mean, a likely interpretation so far is that this price action we've seen might lead to lower prices. Now, the question is, do we get a breakout to the upside first and then a reversal, or straight down a breakdown? And I'm saying that because this price action lacks momentum, clearly lacks momentum. I mean, look at this. This was January 18. It was the peak of that mania that we had. It was ongoing for a few months. I mean, it's been almost 2 years and the market is just 5% higher, right? So in a little bit less than 2 years, we've moved up and down, but bottom line, we've traded water, right?
Yeah.
And this might be some type of distribution here. So, you should be quite careful. Yeah, we have a question about the FTSE. And yes, I'm going to cover that. If you remember last time we checked the FTSE, I said that this looked like a bull flag and we should be moving higher from there towards the 61.8. So that's exactly what we've seen so far. I mean, we broke above. We retraced a little bit to retest previous highs as lows. We're now testing the 50% fib, but I see no real reason why we can't make it at the 61.8. So it looks quite healthy. And the same deal here with the DAX. I mean, there's no risk reward to be buying the DAX here, but it looks like the DAX might first want to push a little bit higher. I do think, though, that it is, it is in need of some type of a pullback. So I think a move towards like 12,600 is probably going to get the index running out of steam, in which case I would be looking for a move lower towards 12,100. And at that level, you can start looking for buying opportunities. Although, as I've said multiple times, keep in mind that, you know, the DAX has really done more or less nothing in years. So there is no real long-term trend here, okay? So whatever you do, make sure that, you know, you adjust, you know, your positions and your time horizon for any trade you want to take. You know, I don't think you should be targeting like huge moves until proven otherwise. I think you should be content with, you know, moving between support
Scalping.
resistance areas. I wouldn't call it scalping because I'm not advocating, that's not my
Swing.
style. Yeah, swing. Yeah, swing, more of a swing. Yes, exactly. So for example, you know, you see the pair pull back towards 12,100. You see it reacting from there. You can buy it and target 12,400 again. So, you know, a 300 handle target. I wouldn't be looking like to buy it there and expect the index to move to all-time highs. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, makes sense, bro.
Anything else, Coach? Anything you want to check?
No, I think that's it for a quiet Friday, Fed week. And actually, I, you know, you guys call me coach, right? So, you know, I also try and coach outside of 3 drives and this and that, Steve. So this is what, this is the assignment for everyone in FACE this weekend. I'm going to coach. Tell me if you could hear this. Can you hear that?
Hear what?
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness. Hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's a time must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. So smile, everybody.
I think next time we have to bring Joe as well to have
So
a double
that's
karaoke.
I mean, that's not a tough weekend homework assignment, is it?
No, it isn't.
To
It
smile?
isn't, and it's a good advice because you know something. You know, it happens that I have a lot of friends that are psychiatrists. Actually, one of the reasons is because I know a family of psychiatrists. So I can tell you one thing as a fact: human psychology plays a huge role in our physical health as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
Huge role.
as traders, with all the pressure we're under all the time, win, lose, draw, and you know, it takes decades to learn how to detach from that and just go, just another trade, next. You know, I say those things, but what I feel in my body isn't exactly that way. But you know, you try and get there. So yeah, guys, be happy, you know, and enjoy your weekend, and you know, tell the people in your life how much they mean to you. And this is just money, okay? And Cheryl said, yeah, yoga helps. So take care of
It
yourselves.
does.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Go ahead,
Any
Steve.
physical activity that helps you steam out,
Yeah,
and or relax, because both of those are very useful. I mean, it's very useful for you to have, you know, some kind of an intense activity so you can steam out, and it's also useful to have something that will help you meditate. So yeah,
yeah.
whatever you can do in that direction, both are very useful.
Yeah, so, and here's the opposite of what I'm saying. What good is happiness? It can't buy you money, right? When people go, what good is happiness? It can't buy you money. Anyway, so what I'm saying is if you make a fortune in the market and you don't feel well, you're just going to give it to the doctors. So take care of yourself, guys. We love you. Thank everyone who's joined. I mean, really, we've had a great response, and someone just said they're joining, time to give back, and we really enjoy helping you achieve what your dreams are. So with that being said, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Faith is a blessing to the whole team for us. We hope we are for you. Enjoy your weekend, and don't forget, smile. Adios. See you, Steve.
Bye-bye,
Have a
everyone.
great weekend, buddy.
You too, coach. Bye-bye.
All right, buddy.